Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. I want to take a moment to thank all of my subscribers for subscribing. You each are truly a blessing. I thank you for helping me to grow this channel, and I do hope that you'll help me to continue to grow this channel and share with your friends and family that might also enjoy it. My goal is to continue to grow it and give you new fun content week after week. All right, let's get to DIY number 1. I found these jars at the Dollar Tree. They are glass, except they have this plastic clear lid. And so my idea was to make this clear lid look like wood. So I took some hazelnut chalk paint and painted the lid. Now, it is a little bit difficult. I started off just painting the tops of all of them so that they could start to dry and I could do the sides as I went to the next ones. Next, I got those knobs at the Goodwill, but you could definitely get those at the dollar store, or your hardware store. And I'm just painting those in hazelnut as well and going back and giving the lids just another coat. They definitely need a couple coats of the hazelnut. Next, I'm going to attach the knobs. I used some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue. The Gorilla Glue just doesn't have as strong of a scent as E6000, but works just as well, if not a quicker hold. Next, I'm going to use some of my Waverly truffle paint. And I'm using a chip brush, and I'm just giving this, I'm trying to go in mostly the same direction here, and, to give it a wood grain look. So I go around with just a little bit of truffle on each lid. You don't need a whole lot of paint on that brush. It's a pretty dry brush application here. You do want to make sure that you get some of those grooves around the lid and make sure that you get the sides. Next, I took some Waverly ivory chalk paint. I know, you're going, what is she doing with this white? She just messed it up. No, watch, it will work out, I promise. So I continued in with a little bit of the Waverly chalk paint. Make sure that you get the sides as well, that you don't forget those, that everything is even. Next, I used some of my Craft Smart antique wax, and you want to cover the whole lid. Now, the chalk paint can scratch off, and if you do use these canisters for something, you want to make sure and put a wax or a clear protecting coat over them. But look how this wax turns out. It definitely gives it more of the look of wood. You could use the Waverly antique wax. This is just what I had back when everything was shut down. It was the only one I could find. So I stuffed some paper in there and, put the painter's tape around there, took them and spray painted these canisters in Rust-Oleum double coat. It's like a cream color is what I used. Next, I went to my Cricut and I made these tags. I will link them, so if you'd like to print them off, if you don't have a Cricut, you could definitely Mod Podge them on. You could change them to be any color you want in some of the free, like Pixel or PicMonkey or any of those online. You could change it to be any color you want. Now I just want to line these up so it's even. What you want to remember when you cut these out of the Cricut, if you're cutting out the word in the middle, is that you leave like the center of the A and the center of the O. Otherwise, it will look a little bit funny. And that just goes just like that. And here they are. Don't they just look like some old country canisters? I really think these turned out nice. And I'm thinking of doing them in another way, so you just might see a few more canisters coming your way. Okay, next I took a couple of crates for my DIY number 2. And I'm going to stack them on top of each other. So I decided to try and pop out the bottom. And with just some pressure down, those do pop off nice and smoothly. Just using my thumb to give it a push in the corner. I tried to pull on it. It doesn't work very well. Use your thumbs. It's so much easier. And there's all 3. Next, I'm just going to make sure that it does, sit on there nicely. And then what I'm going to do is give these a coat of the Waverly ivory chalk paint. I like the ivory because it's not such a stark white. I favor more the ivory or the plaster. And I'm getting down to the very bottom of this jar. So I'm just going to go over both of them all the way around, all sides. And the top part, you could even go in just a little bit on the top if you think that something might show through. I went in just a little bit on the top, probably the top rung. Pretty simple, just getting all the way around both of these crates. I promise I didn't make you watch me paint them all. Next, I took some of my mineral chalk paint, and I just took this little paintbrush from the Dollar Tree and just going around and giving a little bit of dry brushing around it, just so it gives it a little bit of a distressed effect. And you just want to make sure that you get in between the rungs, that you get on the sides a bit. Just going around where, it might have gotten bumped around with time. And you did want to make sure before you go in with your dry brush, just make sure that ivory has dried. Next, I'm going to go in with my glue gun, and it wasn't quite hot enough. That glue did not want to come out right away. So I apologize for my glue application there. And I'm just going to go all the way around and then stack those on top of each other. Yes, I will call out my blunders because we're all human and we're just having fun with our crafts, right? Okay, so just stack those nicely. Make sure that it's all smooth there. Then I've got these Dollar Tree peonies, and I'm just going to cut them all off of the bunch so that I can place them individually. So that's 2 bunches. And then I took some of the foam that I also got at the Dollar Tree, and I just want to cut down one of the little slices to fit in the crate. These come in, is there 4 or 5 in the pack? But they're really handy because it isn't a huge brick and it's nice to just have it partially divided for you. And so I just measure to see how much more I need. And then I just put these in a Ziploc bag, all of my extra parts, because we usually need little spots to fill here and there. So next, I'm going to put my flowers in here, and I push the leaves down so that that's what will show through the crate as you see the sides, so it doesn't just look huge and empty. I just kind of staggered what my leaves height is as I put them in there. And I put the smaller ones in the corners. I just thought that would be the best fit. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to continue to give you the best angle as the sun is starting to set. I tend to make a lot of these videos right after I get off work, and my desk is right by the window, and I try to give you the best light I can. So you just want to stuff these all in so you don't have a ton of room. It's just filling it all up. And the nice thing is this crate will be reusable. You could pull out these flowers and put another color in. Maybe you want red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. Or, maybe you want to put fall flowers in during the fall. You definitely have so many opportunities. I took some of this ribbon that I found at Hobby Lobby. It's kind of like a thin burlap ribbon. So I was trying to decide how I'm going to place it. And I decided that just around the top will give it just enough of the accent. But if you obviously place this however it feels good to you and use whatever ribbon will add to your decor. So I just put a couple of glue dots of hot glue that will help hold it in place. And you don't need to over glue it, just enough to keep it in place. And that's about it for this one. So simple, yet a high-end look. I've got this on my tray with my teacup. All right, DIY number 3 will be our final project today. I found this wall vase at the Dollar Tree, and now I wish I would have grabbed a couple. I also have these metal words left over from fall. I highly suggest when you see the metal words to get a couple extra packs. I use them throughout the year. There's Thankful, Harvest, and Welcome, and I tend to use them. Now, if you see, you can basically see my reflection as I'm doing this. So I want to take away just a little bit of the shine. I didn't want to totally paint this or distress it too much. I wanted just enough to take off a little bit of the shine. So I went over it with a little bit of mineral and just going over it just a bit to get rid of that shine, as I said. Now I'm using some of the antique wax. I think that's the home decor one. It must have been what was close to me at the moment. I think that all 3 work well. The Craft Smart, the home decor, the Waverly, all of them work great. So I decided I was going to go in with a paintbrush and do just a little bit of areas that it might have rusted. So I don't want it too distressed, but just a little bit so that this doesn't look super shiny and we just got it right out of the store. So I'm putting it in the edges, and you can go a little bit heavier handed, but as you saw, I take a wet wipe and I wipe it on, I wipe it off, and I think that the wet wipe is a good way to apply when you don't want a ton on there, and it helps take off some of it. There I am with the wet wipe again. There's a couple seams that you want to make sure and, get a little bit of that if you're looking for that rust look. So I kind of just went with that seam and just really got it in there. And then I'll just go back and take away some of it. I took that Welcome and I took one of the makeup sponges with a clothespin, and then I just painted that real quick. I'm also, that's what I was going in when I first was painting this was, you can use a clothespin on the sponge. It's a quick, easy way to apply it or distress it. Okay, so I put a little bit of floral foam in there, and I can't remember, I'm not sure that I know the name of those flowers. It definitely said it there. I hope you caught it. But there are these flowers that are just so long and beautiful. They just drape. And I thought, gosh, those would be beautiful draped over the edge of this wall vase. So I decided that I didn't want the greenery that came with it. So I clipped them all off of the stem. And I just went in and I'm just pushing it into the foam. Now, it's not real stiff at the end, so if you don't feel that it's real secure, you could definitely put a little bit of glue on the ends of them. And now I'm just looking where I'm going to put my welcome. And here's some eucalyptus. That's what I decided to put in as my greenery. But this was a bunch I got at Hobby Lobby a year or two ago, and my goodness, the wire in that is so super thick. So I went in with my heavy duty shears there. And with that, I am using just a little bit of glue, and I attach it to some of the purple in areas because some of them aren't quite as long, so I didn't want to go all the way down into the foam. All right, now I want to just distress this welcome a little bit. I noticed that it was just so stark white. And normally I would probably leave it alone, but I just thought it just looked like it didn't fit. So I went back with my wet wipe and I'm wiping off some of that antique wax and decided to go back over with a little bit more of the white, but you can still see the other distressing on the edges. Next, I took this foam mounting tape. I got this in the hardware area, and it is a super stick tape. And as we know, metal doesn't really like hot glue very well. So that's part of the reason I do the foam tape, as well as making it stand up from the wall vase just a little bit. You can get in the craft area some little foam tape as well, but I know this has a stronger grip. Okay, so we're just going to place the welcome on there and press that down. Next, I'm going to just try and adhere the flowers around the welcome just a little bit so that they stay in place and they just drape so pretty. Some of these are really long, so you can always clip off some of the extra and then just shove it in different places. But here we are. This is our final wall vase. I do hope that you have loved some of these, and if you're not a subscriber, that you will subscribe. Leave me a comment which of these was your favorite. I'm really curious to know. Hit that bell so you know when the next video is coming. Thank you.